Hey folks, welcome back. So I'm going to be reading through Author's Notes 2 through 6 today, and then we'll get into the introduction. And just so you know, just a quick reminder, this is kind of like an audiobook. It's kind of like a conversation. It's kind of like a more expansive inquiry into the ideas here. And if you want to engage deeper, there's lots of ways for you to do that. You can check down in the comments or the description section, and you can see ways to do a book club, activate purpose and belonging in your own career, bring this to your organizations, book me to speak, do a workshop, all that good stuff too. So let's dive in. Author's note number 2, choosing citizenship. I began to realize that my citizenship wasn't just a legal and geographical matter. It is a choice. It's not just saying, this is where I live, pay taxes, observe the laws, but saying that we believe in certain ideas here, and that it is my choice to either ignore them, do as I please and try to avoid the consequences, or claim them as my own and defend them. For too long I chose the former, and I can no longer do this. We are a nation of ideas, of rights and laws constituted by the world's peoples, not a singular people or faith group. And embedded in our founding documents is a framework for cooperation, a set of principles by which a country of immense beauty, wealth, diversity, and imagination may find guidance and refuge. It is important to note that our nation's ideas were It is important to note that our nation's ideas were originally envisioned to serve only white men, white male landowners. However, these ideas were so powerful that they extended beyond the original intentions of our founders. Because of the power of these ideas, we united around them, fought for them, and sometimes surrendering our lives to ensure our Constitution expanded to include everyone who calls this land home. Quick side note, if you haven't seen What the Constitution Means to Me on Netflix, see it. It is amazing. It's a one-woman show, tender, funny, informative, and shines a light on the gap between who we say we are and who we actually show up as. So it's a very, very, great one-woman show. I judge probably should be part of every civics education. So it's What the Constitution Means to Me. It's either on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I'm not sure which one. So, a nation's promise isn't complete upon utterance. It breathes and has a dynamic life of its own. It requires tending and consecration, asking us to continually make it more real and enduring. It must be ministered, shaped into form, function, and experience. It has to be seen, felt, and measured. If we are to live it, to call ourselves citizens, we must also atone for our failure to consecrate our purpose and heal the impacts of this negligence and ensure our purpose becomes real for all citizens. This consecration also implies that we keep asking questions of our purpose, our nation's purpose, to uncover new ways of conducting ourselves as a society, a government, and economy to fulfill upon it. So most folks don't know about the purpose of the United States, but I'm going to explain it here in a little greater depth. The purpose of the United States of America has 4 key parts: equality for all, unity in our diversity, flourishing for all, and work tirelessly to ensure that equality, unity, and flourishing expand over time. And to effectuate this purpose in these times of unprecedented crisis and opportunity, we need new language to capture the fullness of its power. For example, all people are created equal. We hold this truth to be self-evident that all people here belong, have dignity, rights, and a clear path to fulfill their potential regardless of their gender, their skin color, sexuality, what they look like, how able they are, what they do, how much money they make, how they worship or love, or who their daddy is. So I'll pause here for a second. My friend, colleague, mentor, advisor, Lara Lee, and my wife and I discussed this a couple weeks ago, that all created equal is essentially the clarifying principle of the nation, and that the animating principles of it are e pluribus unum, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to form a more perfect union, to work tirelessly, right? And this view, or this point of view, suggests that if you're not committed to all created equal, because we are a covenantal nation, this might not be the place for you. And so that's why the title of this author's note is Choosing Citizenship, because we are a covenantal nation, not one creed, not one faith, not one ethnicity or culture, but we're consecrated on ideas, and so we have to commit to and consecrate them. Otherwise, we're not talking about the United States. If all created equal isn't job one, we are talking about something else, some version of like a classist apartheid, or we're just not talking about what it means to be here. And there's lots of other countries to choose from. There's like 140 or something like that. Some of them are really good at doing the classist apartheid thing, like Syria, Russia, India, China. If that's what you're committed to, you're going to be much more happy there, assuming you're in the right class. But if you are committed to this principle, all created equal, the United States is a pretty good place to do it. And I'd be lying if I didn't share with you that other countries are much better at our purpose than we are. So I look at the Costa Rican democracy. I look at New Zealand. I look at Denmark, Germany. So, like I said in the first author's note, you can pack your bags and go. But that's not what this book is about. And I judge it's probably not what you're really about. It's just to leave the most vulnerable to suffer amid a long and bloody civil war. So the invitation in this note is to choose citizenship, to choose ideas, and most importantly, to choose all created equal. So let's move on to the second part of our purpose. E pluribus unum, from many one. We perform the sacred task of activating unity in this diverse nation to continually transform pluribus into unum, and not to be a bland, soulless Truman Show where we try to homogenize everybody into a particular expression, nor even a melting pot, nor a mixed salad, but a weave, a diverse tapestry of belonging and celebration, where our open hearts value and love every life, every contribution and culture here, and to celebrate this diversity as we bind ourselves together, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. For all. So I want to say just a little bit more about this. So E pluribus unum is our motto, and it came on board, I think, the 1780s, give or take. So after our declaration and articles, and potentially after the Constitution, I'm not really sure, but somewhere right around there, 1780s. And at the time, I'm not sure many folks understood what it meant, like the spiritual power of this. And it's much better, I think, expressed by, I believe it's Cicero or Pythagoras, one of the two. And I believe it's unum fiat ex pluribus, or something of that nature. So just which means actually more than from many one, which could be just like a vague reference to what it means to be in a representative democracy, like from many interests, one process, one people, one identity. But the way that Pythagoras and Cicero and St. Augustine held it, it's when we love another as much as ourselves. So that's really what's going on here. That's the United States. Like that, when we talk about the United States, we're talking about this aspiration that we will somehow get to the place where we love another as much as we love ourselves. All right, so let's move to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We build institutions to ensure everyone has ready and affordable access to healthy food, clean soil, air, and water. Healthcare, education, and housing, which constitute life. To ensure each of us is free and liberated from the constraints of systemic oppression, limiting circumstances and beliefs, liberty. And also to be liberated unto, not just free from, but free to fulfill our unique purpose in life. To ensure each of us is fulfilled by discovering and activating our purpose in our career and life and belonging to a powerful community, the pursuit of happiness. Well, let's move to the fourth here. To form a more perfect union. We fight like hell to ensure that freedom, equality, prosperity, and unity are available to more and more of us in ever greater amounts so long as we live. That's the heart of this book. This book is a declaration, not in our house. We do not have the right to call ourselves citizens, much less leaders, if we are not actively consecrating our purpose and by bringing healing, liberty, and flourishing to all of us. Author's note number 3. Who this book is for. This book is for leaders who are moved to do life, career, and leadership differently, following the murders of Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. This book is for leaders who were stirred by Don't Look Up, 12 Years a Slave, Handmaid's Tale, or Black Mirror. I'm going to pause there for a second. You got to see those movies, or series in the case of Handmaid's Tale. We are on a collision course for not just civil war, but climate catastrophe, for a theocratic class system that privileges the rights of white Christian, straight, able-bodied men. And these movies, 12 Years a Slave and Don't Look Up, show the racial and climate kind of piece of that future that we're headed to without massive action. And then Handmaid's Tale, of course, tells the future of a theocratic fascist state. And Black Mirror shows what happens when we just let technology run unabated and without any concern for our purpose. So this book is for leaders who know that in order to have the impact they want to have tomorrow, or even breathe air, for example, they must continue to summon new capacities of leadership. This book is for the damn-giving evolutionary leader who knows that leadership is, by definition, uncomfortable and courageous. This book is for leaders who know that living in a multicultural democracy in times of increasing volatility, uncertainty, chaos, and ambiguity, or a VUCA world, as it's known, requires a different approach to leadership. This book is for you if you know that business as usual is broken and are ready to acknowledge that you have a bigger role to play in the world. If you know that our cascading crises demand something entirely new to be born both inside of you and outside in the world, then you're in the right place. As such, this book attempts to bridge two worlds. Our current world, that is oppressive, exploitative, and violent, where wealth and power are increasingly concentrated in the hands of the few, and a world that is purposeful, connected, just, creative, equitable, and prosperous. It attempts to bridge humanism and capitalism, empathy and achievement, by leveraging new mechanisms to heal, empower, and unify us. This book is for leaders who want to sleep well at night, proud of how they are newly showing up each day on purpose, intent on remaking our troubled world. So if you haven't read the poem Hieroglyphic Stairway by Drew Dellinger, read or listen to the poem. Because it simply asks us to hear the voices of our progeny, of the children, of future generations. And it repeats a line over and over. What did you do when you knew that democracy was stolen? What did you do when you knew the planet was burning? And we all know it. Climate science has been out for some time now. I mean, Silent Spring goes back to 1962. We know that we live in a racist apartheid. We know that our climate is burning. We know kids aren't going to be able to breathe, right? And if we're just pushing pixels or whatever the heck we're doing in our careers, praying for retirement, praying that someone else is going to figure it out, we're all SOL. This is all hands on deck. You are called, you are summoned. If you find yourself in this conversation, it's on us. This book is a resource for leaders who want to do just that, fulfill their legacy, activate the higher purpose of their organization, and play a critical role in tending the powerful purpose of these United States. Luckily, as fate has it, the private sector has many powerful tools to do all of this and more. Yes, there are many things our governments, religions, and schools have done, are doing, and can do. This book is not for people working in those fields, but rather about what each of us working in the private sector can do to fulfill our nation's purpose. It's a guidebook for leaders who want to harvest rich meaning from their careers, activate their purpose, and enjoy soulful connection, kinship, and belonging at work. Conversely, if you're looking for a book that will help you get ahead or gain an advantage, this ain't it. In general, I hate business books. I find them to be largely a collection of capitalist fan fiction written by folks who don't really understand the central narratives of human history, our nation, and capitalism. Thus, a basic business book cannot remedy the deep flaws embedded within our current arrangements, nor see the power and possibility of capitalism done right. If you'd prefer to avoid or deny our troubled past and present, then this book will upset you. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about white supremacy, climate change, exploitation, rape culture, all that. Stuff you're not going to find in most business books. This book is a tactical guide for leaders who are intrigued by the possibilities for personal and societal renewal outlined in my previous book, Planet on Purpose, that came out in 2018. This book weaves together 4 threads: the dream of our nation, so our purpose, stories of reckoning with our nation's past and present on the job, an exploration of what is emerging in the hearts of leaders, employees, customers, and investors, and 4, best practices for leadership and people development in these uncertain times. This book is for leaders who love our nation. However, we can't fully love something if we don't understand it. Specifically, we often overlook the gap between our ideals and our practices, or feel the pain in that gap, and see the possibility of closing it. Loving something is not just about celebrating what is great, but critically examining what is unhealed, hurting, and standing in the way of our destiny. It's adopting the posture of Aretha Franklin, U2, or Johnny Cash, when they celebrate our nation's richness, glory, and freedom, while remaining critical of her failures and advocating for healing, justice, and restitution. Although this book was written primarily for leaders within the United States, it is also for leaders and people everywhere. What ails us ails the world. We're all drunk on the same flawed history and the exploitative and unimaginative future it keeps repeating. Fascism and authoritarianism are not just on the rise in our nation, but they are activated globally, As of 2020, 68% of the world's population now lives under autocratic rule, up from 48% in 2010. Now, most of that was attributed to India, but so many other, what do they call it? Barbara Walter in her book, How Civil Wars Start. It's like she has a term for something that's kind of a democracy and kind of an autocracy. I think it might be anocracy. So it's got some elements of both. Yeah, and I don't have all the studies at my fingertips, but it's something like in the last 10 years, 20 large countries have moved towards this anocracy, where they're moving more and more towards autocracy within a representative democracy. While democracy is not a new idea, it has never been tested at the scale of the United States, and it is currently failing, both at home and abroad. Because climate change, nuclear arsenals, extremism, and pandemics threaten our ability to live together on this great earth, and autocrats pursue self-interest above the interest of the collective, we will all lose if we let autocracy win. So just to kind of put a period on that, the United States purpose and democracy itself are kind of not one and the same, but very closely related. If we fail, if we slip into autocracy, the world will give up hope. So we're doing this not just for ourselves, our organizations, our nation, but all of humanity. 68% of us that are now under an oppressive autocratic regime with no voice in government. So we must not let autocracy win. All of human life depends on constitutional democracy winning. Constitutional democracy is not an idea that came from our founders, but from the world's soul. From the deepest parts of our psyche, our moral imagination. Its ideals and practices are sourced in a global dialogue extending at least as far back as the Greeks, Tlaxcalans, 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 and Algonquins, or what we might know as the Iroquois of the northeast parts of United States and southeast Canada. Accordingly, we are playing this game not just for the millions living in the United States, but on behalf of all people, past, present, and future. While our influence is not what it was after World War II, the ideas of freedom, equality, and prosperity that we aspire to continue to capture the world's imagination. There is a reason that Bruce Springsteen sold twice as many albums internationally as he did here in the States. It's the same reason, I believe, that President Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in the first year of his presidency, despite not being a notable humanitarian nor an accomplished legislator. President Obama won the presidency and the Nobel Peace Prize, and the boss became popular around the globe because deep down, the world needs the United States to fulfill its purpose. Although President Obama is by no means perfect, he embodies the American promise. He is living proof that a nation of settler colonialists, descendants of the formerly enslaved, survivors of native genocide, and people from all corners of the globe can constitute themselves according to sacred ideas. That we can become a place where anyone, no matter their skin color, who they love, how they worship, or who their daddy is, can fulfill their destiny and belong. Truly belong. President Obama gave voice to this deep desire. He performed the sacred task of voicing the deep call for freedom and transmuting pluribus into unum. 4 years before his presidency began in his now famous 2004 DNC convention speech. I'll read a portion of it here. I'm tempted to do my Obama impersonation, but you won't like that. There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There's not a black America and a white America and a Latino America and an Asian America. There is the United States of America. The pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states. Red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states. And we don't like federal agents poking around our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. There are patriots who opposed the war in Iraq, and there are patriots who supported the war in Iraq. It's the hope of slaves sitting around a fire singing freedom songs. The hope of immigrants setting out for distant shores. The hope of a young naval lieutenant bravely patrolling the Mekong Delta. Of course, he was referring to John Kerry, who was running for president at the time. The hope of a mill worker's son who dares to defy the odds. The hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too. Hope. Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. The audacity of hope. In the end, that is God's greatest gift to us. The bedrock of this nation. A belief in things not seen. A belief that there are better days ahead. And he continued this provocation in his 2008 victory speech. I wasn't there, my cousin was. She said it was one of the most spiritual moments of her life. And to all those watching tonight from beyond our shores, from parliaments and palaces to those who are huddled around radios, our stories are singular, but our destiny is shared. Tonight, we proved once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals, democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope. For that is the true genius of America, that America can change. Our union can be perfected. And what we have already achieved gives us hope for what we can and must achieve tomorrow. That fundamental truth, that out of many we are one. And that while we breathe, we hope. And where we are met with cynicism and doubt, and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed. I'll pause here for a second. So what Obama is pointing to, this timeless creed, is what Lincoln, I think, gave voice to as, I know he gave voice to, as a central tenet of our ancient faith. Equality. And those that tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. End quote. So, yes, we can. This nation's ideals are captured in our defiant no to oppression of any kind, and an embodied yes to freedom, equality, and prosperity for all. Unfortunately, the lion's share of humanity's potential is being suppressed by oppressive political, and economic regimes. Shockingly, 80% of the world's workforce is disengaged. Consider all the amazing things that the 20% of us who are engaged have created. Now multiply that by 5. That's what's possible when we ignite purpose, belonging, flourishing worldwide for all. Imagine 8 billion fully activated souls making their highest contributions, exploring the unknown, celebrating the wonders of nature and community, mining the depths of our collective wisdom, and unleashing our unlimited fount of creativity. It begins with us. All people are created equal. E pluribus unum. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's fight like hell to protect and expand this promise for ourselves and for the world. Whew. Author's note number 4. How to read this book. Of course you know how to read a book. However, this book does require a bit more emotional effort than most, as we will move through some very charged subjects that will call into question issues concerning identity, capitalism, power, violence, and injustice. So please be kind to yourself, take breaks, and talk to trusted friends and mentors about what you're experiencing. If you feel your well-being is declining, please stop reading the book and reach out to a mental health practitioner. To that end, I recommend that you read this book with a group of 3 to 6 people and share your experiences with each other. At the end of each chapter, I've included a summary and discussion questions to guide your conversation. So there's 4 questions at the end of chapters 1 through 6. And they can serve as a great prompt for a book club. So if you want to start a book club in your organization or join one that I'm hosting, you're welcome to, because that's the format we're going to follow, 1 chapter at a time, and explore those 4 questions. Additionally, there is a group of leaders engaging with this work and bringing it into their organizations, the Purpose Work Nation community, where you can engage to tap group wisdom, ask questions, share ideas and resources, and receive support for creating cultural and organizational change. You can learn more at purposework.us. So one of those communities is Kindred. It's a group of DEI and ESG professionals, senior from the world's largest companies. And then Purpose Work Nation community is folks who are devoted to essentially the possibilities of this book, and that group is on LinkedIn, and so you'll find all of that at purposework.us. As you move into the latter half of the book, you'll see opportunities to start taking new actions in your organization. This can be scary for the aforementioned reasons, but also because there are many factors to consider, such as risks to your livelihood, housing, and healthcare, and difficult personalities to navigate that require a considered approach. To that end, if you want to be in the inquiry of how to take wisdom to action, please reach out to my team at Unity Lab, as this is familiar territory for us. You can email us at support@unitylab.co. Author's note number 5. Statement of privilege. As I'm a white man, I speak from my experience and therefore cannot possibly hope to offer words that will speak to, inspire, and unify everybody. There is no way I can fully understand the experience of anyone else but myself. While I read and listen to diverse voices and try to understand and embrace alternate perspectives, I'm never really going to get the experience of 400 years of racial oppression or a millennia of sexist oppression. Although I've received incredible feedback and help on this book from many generous souls who aren't heterosexual white men, there is no escaping my white male privilege and perspective. At the end of the day, I own that. I also recognize that my privilege comes with responsibilities to use my privilege for the greatest benefit to others. Additionally, as a white man, I'm a member of a group of people who are over-indexed in leadership positions. As such, I often speak directly to the implicit whiteness and maleness inside our economic arrangements and our leadership ethos. the internalized white male perspective embedded to varying degrees in all leaders, as well as in capitalism, culture, and our nation as a whole. This is to say that I hope that leaders who identify as women or who are from the BIPOC or LGBTQIA plus communities will also find value here. My goal is not to exclude anyone, but rather to speak directly to those who currently hold the power, wealth, and networks that must be leveraged to create a flourishing nation. Author's note number 6, privacy statement. Many names referenced in the stories I tell have been changed to protect the privacy of my friends and colleagues. So folks, that's the end of the author's notes. The next video will probably be the opening quotes and the introduction. So I hope this is landing for you. And again, if you want to engage more deeply with this work, in the description are a bunch of links related to speaking workshops, activating your own purpose and belonging, book club, all that fun stuff. So hope to see you soon. Thanks for being with me and my emotions today.